Welcome back to the ATX Creatives Podcast. Today we have Dylan Newton. He's a fellow photographer just like me, and he's got a cool style for real. So yeah, who is Dylan?
Hi, my name is Dylan. I'm a portrait photographer living in Austin that specializes in cyberpunk as a photographic genre, which also means that all the props that I'm building, or all the props that are in my photos and the masks and stuff, that's all stuff I've actually built.
Oh, nice.
It's a really fun part of the process.
How do you get the parts to like put the mask together?
Oh my God, it's really
it's like Hobby Lobby
it's
stuff?
really tough. No, I'll actually go to. There's like two different ways I'll go about it. So I'll go to Goodwill first off, and then I'll get like any electronics that I think that I'm just looking at it and I'll be like, I bet that got some cool parts. Or like I'll look at the shape of it and be like, I can see that being used somewhere on the mask. Yeah. And I'll like take it apart, take out the like cables and like any circuitry that I want, or just like cool parts that I just think like, yeah, this is interesting. This is an interesting piece. This is really specific. I like this. I'll use this.
Oh, nice.
And then on the other side of things, I'll also typically get a Gundam model. Preferably one that's really dramatic, has a lot of like wings, a lot of spread out parts, and I'll buy a kit. I'll build it up like I'm just building a Gundam, and then I'll take it apart again when I'm done, and then try to figure out what parts will go where on the mask itself. Okay.
So it's like a puzzle piece. It's like a game.
It does feel like a puzzle in a lot of ways. And it takes, because I'll have like the respirator and I'll be just like for a good solid hour or so, I'll just be like, angling the pieces differently on the mask and just imagining what it was going to look like. And then sometimes I just say like, all right, I could plan all day over this thing. I just need to go ahead and just fuck it. I just need to go ahead and start building and just kind of make it up as I go along.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's where it gets a lot of fun, because like any problems or issues I run into the building part of it, that kind of goes into how it looks on the actual mask. Or I might have a last minute idea that's like, oh, this is great. Like I had an idea of like just going ahead and taking these two speakers that I had and like, let me just drill them into this mask. I want to make it look
speakers
big.
Like how big?
They were probably like that big or so. I took out the speaker shit because I wanted like the actual cones and I wanted to pry off the magnets of them. So I had this like hollow speaker encasing. The frame of it, and so I used that and just drilled through to the mask and mounted it there, and it just looks really big. It looks really dramatic with it, and I love that. And so then I thought, oh, cool. Now I can build around that speaker and drill things into it, and then make it feel more technical, more cyberpunk, more. Just technological. And so those are some I guess that's a way that I'll kind of go about crafting the masks for the photos and everything.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun because like every once in a while I'll just get a different theme, like and I'll kind of base it on a theme. So like the last mask and the current mask I'm working on right now, I've almost been, I know. Every new one, I want to just go like
even bigger.
Bigger, crazier. Just like, what can I do to make this like unique and interesting? So I have one that is all white, and I want to do one that's all black now and have them as twins, because I have another pair that they both have like Japanese Hanya masks over the face of the respirator, and I have a white one and a red one, and I thought, it's like white and blue and then red and black, and I thought, oh, that's a really good dynamic. So I got like a white mask and a red mask, and I put them over 2 different masks together. And it's like, to me, they're twins, or like they're sisters or something. Or I feel like I can, in my head, I can let 2 models wear them, and it would be a really cool concept to have them as like opposing dynamics or something like that. Yeah, exactly. And so that's or just like it's a gang or something like that, and they're wearing the masks or something like that to signify, they're in a gang.
Well, the red and white go very well together.
I know. Red and white, sexy, blue and white. I love color, like especially with the masks. I love that I can base them off color palettes so that I can, if a model brings an outfit that I really like, but I don't have a mask that, like, all the masks I have just clash with it.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, well, this makes it harder now. I've got to think harder about it. But if I had a mask to fit every situation that I can imagine or that I'm confronted with, that I can still make it, feel good or feel like consistent and premeditated, then I know the concept's going to look like way cooler if everything kind of goes together.
Yeah, well, it's like the cohesiveness of the
exactly. Whole thing. Yeah, I'd hate it if, like, I was wanting to do a shoot with this model, and she just had like yellow and black and all outfits, and I was like, man, this is such a cool. I love this color scheme. Yeah. I love it because it reminds me of
Kill Bill.
Yeah, Kill Bill, or like Jack White's Third Man Records. Jack White always has like a really cool color scheme for each of his groups, or like each of his bands. So like the White Stripes was red and white. The Dead Weather, I think, had black and yellow. I think also his record label was like a very black and yellow color scheme. His own self label was like black and blue, or just blue in general. Mm-hmm. I thought, oh, that's really fucking cool. And so I love the idea of just like a 2-tone like color concept. And so she had like yellow and black outfits, but I didn't have any like just black masks or just a yellow mask. So I was like, man, I don't.
Gotta go back to the drawing board now.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta build it really quick. Fuck it, okay. Yeah.
You just have spare parts laying around at home?
A ton, too much. Honest to God, like it gets to be really cumbersome because I'm like going through my house, and there's just like underneath my desk is a whole entire just like boxes and boxes of just parts and shit. That gets so fucking annoying, I swear.
I have like, most of my stuff is small, but like if you look like in my closet in like the upper part, there's full of like photo props, and even I have a little ledge. I don't know if you saw it, but I have a little ledge
up top there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit up there.
Yeah, like stands and stuff.
Very cumbersome, dude.
Oh, I hate having to keep photography gear in my house.
Me too.
It's so much space.
Yeah.
A softbox, I don't want to tear that thing down all the time. I just want to leave it there because it already is so difficult trying to like put it back together. Or I think it is, at least.
That's one of the reasons I don't have lights.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can't store it anywhere.
I don't know where I'm going to put these things. It's so stupid. Half the time. That's why I used LED lights for a lot of the stuff, just because it's so easily portable. There we go. It's so easily portable, and and you can put batteries on them. It's so much easier. Yeah. Honestly,
Well, I don't want lights that go to a wall outlet. I need lights with batteries. Because then they're portable. I can bring them fucking everywhere.
Yeah. No,
like having that cord is just like a hassle.
It's a monster. I've been looking at some nicer lights, like some more serious lights for photography instead of just using LED panels, because they're cool, but I don't think the batteries run out really fast. Mm-hmm. They just doesn't feel like they put out the kind of light I'm looking for. It's really hard.
You need like a strobe. Like a flash, like a good flash with like a softbox.
That's
what somebody told me. They were like,
that's really
you don't need to use I forgot what it's called, but it's like constant light.
A constant light source versus a strobe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like using flash. I think because I didn't really. I started out with natural light, of course. I have friends that started with flash, and they are way more skilled when it comes to lighting a scene with flashes and strobes, way more than me. I'm so rudimentary. Difficult. I don't even know how to slave a flash, to be honest with you. It's just not part of It's just not part of the workflow half the time. And
it's just one other thing I have to set up.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had like a studio, it'd be different because I would kind of I would need the light. But I'm usually shooting outside.
Yeah.
Or like next to a window. Like
exactly. Also, like, I like the darkness in a lot of my photos because I feel like it's kind of imperative, or like it's really important. Like, I love having, and this is why I choose really like bright scenes at night. So like a lot of neon, a lot of like just surrounding like LED signs and stuff, or just like that's around at night. Because if I involve a flash, then it doesn't feel like it's a scene. It feels like I'm I'm doing a shoot.
Yeah.
If it's evident that I'm like using a flash on a subject, a lot of times it feels like it's taking, or at least in my head, it's like, doesn't feel I hate the word, but cinematic.
Yeah.
Like, I know that in cinema, of course, there's like a million lights lighting every which way, and they can make it to where it's, looks consistent with what's around. But like in my scenarios, it's really dark at night. There's only so many lights out. If it's neon, then like if I'm using a flash in the same direction as that neon light, then it gets a bit overblown, or like, it doesn't look natural enough. And so sometimes I'm just like, fuck it. Unless I'm like, this place is way too dark. Yeah. I need a flash. And if I'm going to flash, I'm going to have to like hold it off center or something like that, and just try to light from a different angle. But yeah, I love just using just natural light.
Yeah, me too.
So much more.
I feel like darkness is just as important as the light. And when you have a flash outside and it's fucking midday, there's no shadows, there's no darkness, there's nothing like, there's no contrast.
Feels off.
It feels off. Yeah, exactly.
Whenever it's like, I remember seeing this style where like they just say I just took like the shadow slider in Lightroom and just pushed it to 100.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I was like, it's surreal. I'll say that. And I think that was intentional. But at the same time, I was like, I just don't like the look of it. I just don't like the look of it.
Well, each photo depends on like what you do during editing.
Yeah.
Because you could be going for like, I mean, if it was more professional, I feel like there's less edits you do than like if it's more like personal. More personal, you can get very creative, and like people tell you don't like up the clarity to like 50, 100. It kind of makes it look weird.
Oh, it makes everyone look veiny and
but like some photos could call for that, and if it looks cool to you, then it probably looks cool to everybody else.
Then that's the point. Yeah. Like there will be times where I think there've been several times where I noticed I would be going between like pushing clarity and texture quite a bit, because there's a lot of like technical details in the photo that I want to pop a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then there'll also be times where I'll take it out and like drop clarity because I think that the skin needs to be a little bit smoother or something.
Yeah. I actually kind of I've been playing with this, up the clarity and then lower the texture.
The texture? Yeah. Sometimes I'll balance that out. I do that a lot with like saturation and vibrance. I'll like maybe.
See, I don't really know how to use those sliders. Well, I know how to use saturation, but like I don't really know how to use the vibrant slider. I don't understand.
They're very similar. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. There's a really good video by Jamie Windsor, and he goes over like the nuance. Well, he goes over a lot of different nuance of Lightroom in general.
Yeah. That's what I need. Because also like the highlights and the whites. Like
oh right.
Like that's such a very same control, but also a little different.
Yeah, and it's very intuitive. And it's just like you know it when you use it, but to describe it is another thing. Yeah, and I think I have a struggle to describe those things. I know that. So like Jamie Windsor, he goes over one where he talks about like the nuance of like what is actually happening in the image whenever you boost vibrance versus saturation, and that's so cool. I love that. He is such a I love his videos so much because they are so they typically go about photography in a philosophical sense.
That would appeal to me.
Exactly. I love philosophy.
Yeah.
Philosophy was probably my favorite class in college. And to apply that into photography is like, oh, so interesting. So like, for instance, one prompt that he posed was, when does it feel like you're cheating in photography, or what does it mean to even be cheating in photography? So for instance,
how do you even do that?
So like, there was a competition for Nikon, I think, and the winner, he took a photo from under a what was it? One of those like ladders on the side of the building with like the cage around it. You know what I'm talking about? Like
no, no, I do not.
Okay, like so a service ladder, like a service ladder. Oh, so like a service ladder on the side of a building, and he took a photo from underneath it, so shooting up into the sky, and then right in the center of where this like frame is that usually goes around the service ladder, there's a plane or like there's an airplane like right in the center, and it's just like a perfect.
I think I've maybe seen this.
Yeah, it's a perfect. Is
the airplane real?
Airplane is photoshopped.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is whenever Nikon found out about this, it's like they made him, or they said like, it's not a real photo, and this is like, it's not shot.
It's like not black or white. Like,
I don't remember if it was black or white.
No, I mean
color. I get you.
Yeah, like
philosophically.
The topic is kind of black or white.
Exactly. Well, it's like, so then we take that, and he like apologized for it and everything. But then you take other photos, and there's this one photo that he also compared to using like the same weight of editing, where it's this image of this man walking, his briefcase is open, and all these papers fly out, and all these different characters that are reacting to the paper flying out.
I don't think I've seen this before, but I can see
it's incredible. It's such a really good photo. That photo is a what is the word? It's a whenever you have a bunch of photos put together to complete a photo. It starts with a C. This is really bad for a photography podcast when you forget the terms.
It doesn't matter.
But anyway, so it's a series of photos that are put together, and they're very staged. So like the one model, like a photo is taken of the model, and then there was one photo of another model, and then there's the photo of the man with the briefcase, and then there's the papers.
So it's
everywhere.
all different photos,
different shots put together.
Yeah. I've done that before,
and it was like over 150 images put together.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, and so this is the way.
That's a lot.
See, that's a lot. And so this is the time that we look at that and we're like, wow, that is magnificent. The process is incredible. And, we'll look good at that editing. But the editing of the airplane in the sky, it'll be like, that didn't sit right with me. And how that... I don't know. That creates, and this is the philosophical idea and where it gets kind of subjective in terms of like, what's the difference? What's the is there a rule to that? What's the deal?
I don't think there is.
Oh, of course. No.
See this image right here?
This one?
Yeah, with the 2 moons.
Yeah.
So
are there really 2 moons?
No. Well, it's all mirrored if you look at it close enough.
I see that.
So basically what I did is I was at Mount Bonnell, and I was with my neighbor, and we were just hiking around. The sky was fucking crazy, dude. It's crazy. And so I took a picture of it, and I was like, you know what? This isn't good enough. I can do better than this. So I thought about how could I make a scene with the images that I have. So I kind of just basically I'm not very like savvy with Photoshop, so I could probably do it a better way. Basically what I did is just took the eraser tool, erased what I didn't want, and then took that, mirrored it, and just kind of spliced it together, blended it, and turned out pretty good to me. Added the stars, and I don't think that's necessarily cheating. Like, no, so it's putting something together to make a complete.
It's just
picture
perception, and I think that's the point that he tries getting. So, like every little choice that we make in photography is just an outreach of your perception. So, for instance, a wedding photographer taking a picture of this couple in front of this building, and the photographer crafts the image in his head and takes that picture, versus someone taking a picture of the photographer taking a picture of the couple behind the building. And that is just, it's just how the artist is going to see the image. There's some photographer that I see that take characters out of their images, or like they erase certain pieces, certain parts of their image to make the thought more consistent. And it's like you want your eye to land on a certain spot and not get distracted by something else. So, this is like on a simple side, this is just like like you see a pebble on the ground that you're like, it's distracting me. My OCD is
take it out.
I don't like that.
Take it out.
You just take that thing out. And because you're trying to bring your eye back to that subject, back to the point that you're trying to make, like not the frilly stuff right over here. Don't even look at that. I want you to look at this. I want you to pay attention to this. And I think that's the perception that we kind of look differently between these different artists. That like, oh, this artist is cheating. He didn't really take that photo. Versus like, no, he saw he had a thought and saw an image in his head and just made it happen.
Exactly.
And after watching that, like, so his videos, honestly, like I could go on, but they're so philosophical and so in depth. And every time I get done with it, I feel inspired to go create. I feel just like, I feel very thoughtful about what I'm doing, and it gives me a chance to like take time and think about, what am I trying to do with my own images? How can I apply this philosophy to my own imagery and come out just a better artist? And I think just
especially when you're taking pictures for businesses, like you got to make that picture look clean. Like they expect that.
Oh yeah, totally.
So taking out like little dust and like even if there's a person in the background that's just like distracting, take them out. Like it just looks cleaner. It just looks better in general.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you have the capabilities to do it,
these are just like the things.
I don't think it's a wrong thing to do. I think it's bettering the picture that you already had in mind. Yeah. It just so happened that thing had to be in it.
Mm-hmm. Editing is such editing in itself really is an art, and I love that.
Taking the picture is completely different from editing.
Yeah.
And you have to also work both of them together when you're taking a picture. Like, you have to know, okay, if I take this picture, what can I do in editing with it?
Yeah.
And maybe I need to angle it a little bit different so that when I take it back, it's easier.
So whenever you, because you made an interesting point, actually, it kind of got me thinking, like, taking an image and then having the thought, like, oh, I'm going to go in here and then edit these things onto this image versus, like, I'm going to take this photo because I think this photo by itself is good. And this is a great photo. Let me spend some time and think about it after the fact. And then improve upon it. Because usually, like, whenever I'm taking the photo, I'm trying to I'm trying to just take the image as if I don't have editing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Try to get as much done in camera as I can so that when I go in editing, I can be like, or I can play with it. I can have fun thinking, like, do I want to make a holographic sign here? Do I want to take it over here, actually? Maybe it would be best here. And just kind of play with it for a while versus, like, I don't go into, like, taking a photo thinking, like, oh, I'm going to take this photo like this so that when I go in editing, I'll do this to it kind of thing. Or if it happens, it's, like, very rare. But, like, I get so in the moment. I can't even take, like, BTS footage while I'm doing the shoot.
I can't either.
I swear.
I get too in the moment.
I'm so in the zone and everything that I totally forget all the time. And I just feel awkward half the time just putting up a camera and taking a video of myself shooting. I think it's, I just feel awkward about it. I wish I was more comfortable in front of, like, doing TikTok. But
yeah. Oh, well.
That's just the social game, right?
Yeah, you should just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to be on TikTok, you shouldn't have to. Yes.
You shouldn't have to.
Yes, it does get you more exposure.
It does. Kind of.
I
mean, like,
it's a game.
It really is. And I think it's just because I don't do it very often, but I noticed that, like, my TikTok does not get traction at all. Versus Instagram is, like, I get a lot of traction there. Really? And then Twitter is, like, I think I'm actually shadow banned on Twitter. I know for what, right? I looked it up and I found, or my friend showed me a service that will kind of run it through your account through some tests to see if you're shadow banned. And lo and behold, I found out that I was shadow banned. And I was like, this makes a lot more sense now that I think about it.
Those motherfuckers.
I swear. They're killing me. But, yeah, what do you got?
We got to take a producer break real quick.
Okay,
it's
cool.
30 minutes.
Bet.
So I got to get the camera.
No,
it's good.
It's fine?
Yeah,
okay.
It said, low battery mode.
You're just like, ugh.
Well, MacBook's still good. We're on 14%.
Okay,
so
we're still running.
Yeah, we're still running.
That works out.
We got this shit.
Oh, we can get this shit. I'm not worried. All right,
let me fix my shit.
That is so funny.
I know, dude. Producer break. Fuck me. So we will resume.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? We haven't gotten into.
Yeah, we haven't even dived into, like, the nitty-gritties. Yeah, I know. We've just been going off, which I love that.
I do too.
So I grew up in a small town in southeast Texas, by the border of Louisiana, called Beaumont.
Okay.
It's a pretty small town. It's a smallish town, I'd say.
How many people?
I wouldn't say over 1 million, which sounds
that's a pretty decent city.
That sounds like decent city, but honestly, when you get into it, it's just like a bunch of small towns, part of a golden triangle of towns, I should say. Like, so Beaumont is kind of like in the center of it, and then from there you have on the south side, like, Port Neches and Nederland. To the west you have, is it the west or the east? To the east, I think you have Vider. Yeah, that's right, to the east. And then, like, all around you have all these other towns, but they're all just small towns, really.
So was yours, like, the central one?
Yeah. I was kind of
in that area.
I was towards the south end of town, I would say,
okay.
Where it was kind of like the ghetto of Beaumont, essentially, because my parents, they just had their house there, and we lived there. That was the house I grew up in, and it was close to the college too, because that's something we also have is we have a state college there. College. Lamar University, but you say you've heard it. No, so I eventually went to school there, and that was so easy to. I could take a bike and ride there if I wanted to. Essentially, I wouldn't want to because it's Southeast Texas, and every day is just a different cocktail of hot and humid.
Yes.
And that really drains you. That humidity drains the crap out of you. It's nuts.
Yeah, heat in general does.
Yeah.
When I first got here, it was like taking showers 2 times a day.
Yes.
Because it was like,
yes, I
go out in the morning and I'm hot and sweaty, and then I come back. Maybe I want to go out to dinner, or I don't know, go to a store. I'm not going to go in there sweaty.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got to take 2 showers.
And then by the time that you get back, you're also hot and sweaty.
Exactly.
Even it's the evening. It's crazy. The sun's down. What? Where is that coming from?
80 degrees.
What is this? Where is this coming from? I swear. We used to have a saying there, and it's just a saying that I hear everywhere else that's hot and humid, but it's just it's not the heat. It's the humidity. And literally, I think that's a T-shirt. If you just go to if there was a Beaumont gift shop, that would be a T-shirt you'd have.
I see.
I really do kind of want that T-shirt now I think about it. But
you should get it.
You gotta represent. I gotta represent. I represent my 409 homies as much as I can. I love them. There's a lot of artists there that the city does not they don't cater to artists there. So also keep that in mind of how I grew up is wanting to do art, but the city really doesn't cater to that very well at all.
Same way, dude.
Yeah. It's Beaumont is a very we have plants. It has one industry, and it's gas refining or oil refining, I should say.
Okay.
And then every other subsequent industry that's attached to that, because we're right next to the Gulf Coast, and so it's a major port area. So this area, it's really based off of just guys that are working at a plant, and they come home and they have families, and that's it. But my dad, he's different. He actually builds guitars and does repairs on guitars, which is so cool. That's incredible. Oh, it's incredible.
Just guitars? Is that all he does?
He's a guitar man. He builds guitars. Yeah, he's built other instruments over time, but guitar really is, or acoustic guitars are really his bread and butter, and that's his thing. That's cool. Man, it's I
bet he's a master.
I think he is, and I mean,
doing it that long on one specific instrument.
Yeah,
dude, you gotta be.
I know every guitar he builds is progressively better than the last. I keep on seeing it, and it blows my mind.
How can you make a guitar better? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Just wood. I mean, I guess the strings could be made out of better material, or I don't know.
Well, yeah, you can always improve parts like that, but when he started in 1970, no, he started building way before that, I think. Let's see, probably, actually, 60s and 70s, I think that's when he started building. Yeah, I think that's when he started building. And right after he got out of the Navy, I believe. And when he started building, he actually started building with a really well-known guitar builder that his factory is in Austin. Collings Guitars, which is a really big, that's fine. Yeah, it's a really big brand in Austin, or a really great builder. And he and him, Bill Collings and my dad, were good friends, and they would build together. So Bill Collings went off to make Collings guitars and do that, and then Dad was like, I I don't want a big factory. I just want to build guitars. I just want to
his own
do
workspace.
my thing.
Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, no, it was the coolest thing. You know, when I'd be done with school, and then I would just go out into the shop because he would have his own little shop behind the house where he would build everything and anything, and just go out and just watch him and just see what he's doing, and just like, I think I got a lot of my tinkering spirit, like being able to just take things and just mess with it and build things. Just, I think I got a lot of that creativity from him because of how he can craft things, and it's so cool. I love that, man. He's an awesome dad, I gotta say.
Well, what about your mom?
Yeah. Mom.
Got two of them.
My mom does not, she doesn't really have any, she doesn't really build things. She's an awesome cook. Oh my God. She's incredible. She's an incredible cook, and I love her.
Food is like,
it's a
food is
language.
Like, I don't even know, like top 3, like most important things in my life. She
is probably one of the sweetest women that I'll ever know. Probably one of the most resilient too, or just it's like, to anyone that meets her, they might see a pretty like a very, very pure and innocent image of my mom, but knowing her, I know how like tough she is.
Yeah.
Oh, she's tough. You know,
women are tough.
Women are tough. First off,
well, there's a certain age I feel like women get tough. You know.
Yeah.
Especially like after kids, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. If men had babies, there'd be no babies. You know what I'm saying? Men are not going to do that shit.
Men are not going to have kids?
Yeah, men wouldn't do it.
I don't know. I mean,
I think so. But
I might be the kind of if I could have a kid, I might have a kid, honestly. I know it's scary, and it's like the whole process of pregnancy is frightening and otherworldly, I bet. But honestly, when I think about it, if I was a woman, if guys could have children, I think I'd like to have a child.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's no different than a woman saying, like, yeah, I'd like to have a child, you know?
Yeah, but that's already, like, natural.
That's a very normal thing to say. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's hard for me to imagine, like, yeah, I want to bear a child. I know it's coming from a place of, like, well, you don't know what it's like to have a child. Like, women, this is a very dodgy topic for...
Yeah, I know. We can get back to art.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that. I want to talk about pregnancy, you know.
Yeah, more about your mom.
Yeah, my mom is incredible, but she's so tough because just, I guess, knowing about her life and how that has impressed on me, I get to see this whole other side of my mom that not a lot of people get to, of course. And I'm filled with such pride of her and the type of person she is, that like no matter like whatever she has been through in her life, she is still so consistently this beacon of kindness and love and just like purity.
That's how a mother should be.
Yeah,
for sure.
Parents
are important.
Parents really are important.
People don't understand how important your parents are, really. Because, so there's a lot of troubled kids that don't have dads. And that's like a very like trendy thing. Like it's a very like common thing.
Yeah.
And like it takes both parents to create a good child. You know what I'm saying? To like instill those good experiences. So there's genetics and all that stuff, but having a good foundation like that already gives you a head start.
Yes. Well, you know, I have a lot of friends that they have come from a wide various background of, you know, maybe not having a mom, but having a dad, or having a mom, not a dad. And I was just talking about this last night, actually, that I think that the progression of an adult, it has to do with so many different variables in that growing process. Your parents are important, but also like it doesn't necessarily mean that like, well, I didn't have a dad or I didn't have a mom. That means I'm going to, grow up really shitty. Like that, of course, that's not the case because
that's
a lot
not
of
everybody.
Of course, yeah, because there are so many variables in life that that help in your growth to understand, like to be a better person. Yeah. And no, I'm like my heart hurts for people who don't have the experiences of having parents that I had, but God, I'm really happy I had the parents that I had. That's really all I'm saying. I'm just really happy I had the parents.
You do have to be grateful for the parents you do have.
They catered a lot into my art. Like my mom and dad, they would let me do just whatever when it comes to reason. Yeah, I would say like when it comes to in the context of making art and music and stuff, they would just talk about paving the way. They would they'd help me out. Be like, you need a teacher. We need to get you some gear to start out on. And they really fostered those interests in my life that make me feel like, yeah, I can do anything kind of thing. I can do anything that I want. I can, because of them kind of putting in my head, like, yeah, if you want to do music, awesome. If you want to just jump into photography, let's get you a camera. Awesome. So actually, that's kind of how photography started for me, was around 2016 or so. I had expressed to him that I was interested in like a Polaroid camera because I was playing Life is Strange, like the video game.
I've never heard of it.
It's a really fun game. It's like a very story-based game where you play as this art student in this made-up town in like Northwest Oregon or Washington.
Is it like a PlayStation game or like a computer game?
I don't know if it's on PlayStation. I think I think it might be on PlayStation. I know it's on Xbox for sure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's really great. It's like I'm trying to think of another game that Heavy Rain might be similar in a sense. That's very story-based. You play as this art student, like in high school, and she's really interested in photography. She carries a Polaroid with her everywhere, and she'll just take pictures of things that interest her. And the big twist with her is that she develops powers to stop time and essentially get another go and to right the wrongs, or like to stop and reverse time, essentially. And really cool. So after watching a gameplay of that, I was so interested in photography and just the idea of having a camera on me to capture just things that interest me, and just how simple of a concept that is, but it hit me like, wow, she's taking photos of things that interest her. That's incredible.
It's the simplicity.
It's the simplicity of it, but it starts to click in me. And so I told my dad, and I was like, Dad, what do you think about for Christmas? Could I get a Polaroid? And he was like, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Or I mean, like film is just a lot of money for Polaroid, and it still is, honestly. It is kind of film in general just is painfully expensive. But it was so funny. Dad's answer to that was like, man, that's really expensive. He gets me a film camera for Christmas. That's so it's funny. Like we joke sometimes. It's like, man, I objected to you getting into Polaroid film because of how much it was going to cost. I set you on to an equally, if not more, expensive route into photography. But I'm glad he did it, because when he did give me a film camera for Christmas and started me out, learning film, I feel like I learned very basic ideas of, premeditation in taking a photo, being very intentional when taking a photo. Yeah. Taking your time with it, making sure that it really is the photo that you want to take, because you only got 24 to 36 photos in a roll. And I thought that was, I think it was really important. Also, like how unforgiving film is really when you're starting out, because my goal was
especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. My goal was to with the next roll of film, to have one more photo that's at least legible, or like at least I can see it.
Yeah.
Because the first roll, I actually messed up. The gear sprockets in the camera actually ripped through the film. Oh, no. And Dad was like, maybe this isn't a good film camera for you. So he gets me a different one. We shoot some. Half the roll is blank. And I'm like, I've messed up bad there. Yeah. So then the next roll after that, it was like 10 shots were bad. And it just became a process of just like every roll.
Trial and error.
Yeah, getting a little bit better at actually having a photo first off. But it was great because it helped me understand how light works in a very rudimentary sense. And it's awesome. Dad and I we would go out to different places and we would take photos together. And that would be our kind of bonding thing for quite a bit. We would just go take a trip to like the coast and go take pictures out on the beach or something. And that was a fun little bonding thing we used to have. And I still hold those memories just like they're in there. Yeah. I love it.
They're core memories.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me really appreciate where my love for taking photos came from, was just hanging out with my dad. That's I like nice, that a lot. Dude. Yeah. I like that a lot.
So after you got the film camera, what happened after that? Like in your journey?
It all went downhill.
Oh no. Dun.
After I got a film camera, I was in college at the time, going to Lamar for a marketing degree. Mm-hmm. I hadn't realized, I'm kind of glad I didn't go for a photography degree, to be honest with you. I'm glad I got a business degree. During college, I think it was either between like 2018, 2019, I was in a philosophy class for my business degree. And that philosophy class, we asked a lot of questions about, what does it mean to be human, and how different philosophies. Deep. Oh, it's the deep right there. Yeah, that would be a pretty regular question that would be asked in our class, was how do you define, your humanity? And we watched movies like Ex Machina. I think that was the first. That's a really good movie. Oh my God. We would tear that movie apart to like analyze it. And it was so good. I saw that and I was really interested in it. I just loved that question in terms of the robot. And it's funny, back then in college, I had a completely different answer than what I have now in terms of like, do I define the main character, the robot, or to be a human or not, kind of thing. And it's really interesting. So I watched that, and then I saw Ghost in the Shell, like the 1995 anime movie, and then Blade Runner.
I still haven't seen it yet. It's been on my watch list.
Oh my goodness, that is Yeah, I think you're gonna really love that cinematically.
Don't spoil anything. I
won't say shit. I won't say shit. But that is so. All those movies are just steeped in that whole cyberpunk question of like, what does it mean to be human, and why does that matter to you?
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna check my phone real quick.
Yeah.
But I want to get real deep.
I think mine buzzed, and that's probably.
I was thinking it was mine.
Might be.
Here, while I'm up, I want to get deep, and for 1 second. Hold on. solo producer shit.
Yeah.
Since you brought up the question, what does it mean to be human? So what is your opinion?
What does it mean to be human?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's I mean, this is a
because we're animals too.
Yeah. So, and this is really rough because in the terms of like, so let's take Ex Machina. Actually, let's take Ghost in the Shell for instance. You have the main character Motoko Kusanagi, who is 90% robotic.
Okay.
I think she has maybe her brain, and I think like 10% of that is, or I should say 10% of her body really is organic. I'm pretty sure. Or she's actually...
so she's kind of like a cyborg?
She is a cyborg. It's weird. It's like every other movie, it feels like it's a little bit different backgrounds. Because I think there's one movie, she's like complete, like 100% like an android in this case, or a robot. And then... But in the 1995, I think like 10% of her is biological. So maybe her brain, or like even her brain has augments to it. But so her whole struggle is just like trying to discover for herself, am I human, or what does that mean? What does being human mean? Because I'm 90%, like her and her partner, Bato, they're like 90%, robotic. But then you also have another character who is like 10% robotic and 90% biological, still very human. And it even goes farther than asking, like, what does it mean to be human? It starts asking, like, why can't a robotic life form be considered a person? And I think that is the next evolution of the question. Like, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be a person? And so, for instance, and I'll get to your question. Don't worry.
Okay,
because this is where it gets like in the nitty gritty. Like you have the this character, the puppet master, main antagonist of the film. It takes over a lifeless android and speaks through it and asks a character saying like, humans can't define dreams and memories, Humans can't define memories, but they will let memories define them.
Oh, wow.
And as opposed to just say like that your DNA and what you can't define that, as you can't wrap it up in a bow. And yet we base our entire selves on that kind of thing. Why can't I, a robot, do that? Why can't DNA is essentially code? Why can't I treat code and DNA essentially is the same thing? Like, it's incredible. So like, I think that for maybe the question, what does it mean to be human, isn't so hard to answer for me, because it's like, I know I'm human because of the, I guess, the human experience I have, and the fact that I can see in myself that I have autonomy and agency, that I am it almost seems self-evident to me to say like, yeah, I'm a person. I know that. Why do I know that? And you're just like, ooh, how do I know I'm a person? It's kind of like the human experience, as well as, yeah, I don't know. This is tough. This is tough. How do you define, like, what is it? How are you human? How are you a person?
Okay, so our physical attributes are way different than any other animal on the planet. We're very close to monkeys, but we're not the exact same.
Yeah.
Their intelligence level also isn't the exact same as us. we are the most sentient beings on this earth that we really know of. Dolphins are very smart. They could be as sentient as us, but they can't manipulate their environment. So I think we're a different classification of species. We are a sentient species. And as we know of right now, we are the first species. There could be, quote unquote, aliens on other planets or dolphins, let's say, but they're a whole different being. They're still higher thinking. They still understand what's going on around them, but they're not the same as us. So what it means to be a person is, or to be human, is we are a species, just like every other animal. We look like this. We have, normally, we have 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands, 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 eyes, the whole 9.
I remember one thing that in Ex Machina, the main character that is kind of the subject of the film, she's a robot, but she's a robot that, essentially can feel, think. It's near one-to-one person in the sense that like you could not tell it's a robot, and that's actually kind of the whole premise of the movie is the main character is going there to test the robot to see like does this robot pass as a human kind of thing.
She knows she's a robot, right?
She's aware. She's aware that she's robotic. Okay. I think that she becomes more aware that she's a person. Okay. And so that's the question. That's the question that our professor would always ask. Like, do you think
robots are just a different species? They're not necessarily human. They have human
qualities. Well, I should say the better question is not saying human, but I'm sorry. I think that's my fault in using human and person in the same way. But I think it's what I mean though. Like,
so you're saying a person instead of human?
Yeah. So like,
how are they different?
Well, that's it. Yeah. How are they different? It's not the question.
Okay.
Well, like, animal's not a person, right? How would you say an animal is a person?
No.
Yeah.
I would say a person is a human.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the difference, and I think that, or not the difference, but like the similarity between the two is that this person, this being, the sentient being, may not be human in the sense that, or like may not be biological in the same way as humans are, or the sense of biology is very skewed in that they rely on circuitry, or this character relies on circuitry. But if I was to try and kill this character, this robot, and it expressed the will to live and the will not to die, is that programming or is that genuine? Like, does it take away the
That's
genuineness?
Also the same as nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Let
me see. Let me hear that.
What?
Or, I mean, just like, when you elaborate on your thought.
I'm kind of high. What did you say before?
Like, whenever a person, expresses the will to live or expresses the will, not to die,
okay.
You're like, you can't kill that person. It's a person. But no one has a problem, no one would have a problem, destroying a robot that's just shaped to look like a human. At what point in that robot's development, or to be closer and closer to a person, a human, does it become a human?
Okay, now I have an idea.
Okay.
So, just like genetics, the robot is programmed to be a certain way. It already has those inherent traits. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, it's the same with humans. In nature versus nurture, the way we grow up defines who we are, in a sense. Our genetics combined with the way we grow up makes us the person who we are. think that's...
So your genetics and your experience is what you're kind of...
Yes.
Kind of becomes a thing.
So it's also the programming and the experience of that robot. Because that robot's going to learn as it keeps living. But is it living?
Well, I mean, that's the other philosophical question. I think that the whole point of philosophical questions is that they are being asked and pondered, and that we might have a
wrong answer.
We might have an answer or a way of or school of thinking necessarily, but it doesn't necessarily will pose that this school of thinking is going to be any necessarily better than another school of thinking. So for those who in the class would say like, no, I do not treat these robots that are very incredible robots to be persons and they would have their own school of thinking as to why not versus another group of people that would be like, yeah, I think that they are a person at that point. Yeah. And, that's the same question that's asked in Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, Ex Machina, 2049.
Yeah, I love philosophical movies.
I need you to watch Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 because especially 2049, I just like that one more personally. I know that's probably like a cinema sin. But like I love 2049's story way more. But so I'll say so I loved movies around that time.
Yeah.
And after watching those movies, I started thinking like, damn, I wanna take photos like that. I want to take photos like what I see in these films or.
So movies was your inspiration.
That was a big kicker, I think. Yeah. It was that, and also I started listening to a band called The Midnight. They're like a really cool synth band out of LA.
I think I've heard of them.
Oh my god! I first heard their song "Crystalline" from my friend Aaron Smiley, and that song sent my creative juices into just I don't know why my brain just my creative juices just into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
I just had this image in my head while listening to that song of this downtown of a big city, like a New York kind of thing. Let's see. It's misty raining right now.
Ooh. It's
yeah. You can just hear the saxophone. It's so noir and stuff. There's steam billowing up from the manholes in a dark alley that's adjacent to you. You're going to a diner that has a flickering light above the ledge,
yes, dude.
The light or the rain is being lit up by the adjacent neon light and everything, so you're seeing kind of pass through and everything. So all of these images kind of come together in my head. I'm just like, God, I want that, and I want it to be in the future so bad. And so that's how everything kind of started. I remember.
What year was that?
That was it was either 2018 or 2019. I forget which.
Okay, so
or 2017. I don't know. It gets kind of...
Okay, so for 3
it was kind
of
tough. Because around 2016, 2017, I'd already been taking portraits, digital portraits on by neon lights and everything. I was super into Brandon Wolfel at the time.
Yes, I know who that is.
Yeah. I think
He's got the aesthetic down.
I think he's a very contemporary photographer. Whenever I think about that time, I associate the images of that time to a lot of the images that he took.
Yeah.
And the different tools you could use that really kind of blew my brain was using a mirror to reflect certain parts that you wanted reflected into the image. Mm-hmm. I started using that as a tool. That still is a tool to me every once in a while. So probably around 2018, 2019, I had this idea of doing a futuristic shoot for the first time. this is really cool. This really was the first shoot, and it still ended up being like one of my best images by far. I met my now best friend, Hannah Brower. She is a model, but more than that, she's so much more. Back then, she was a model that lived in Houston, and I would be taking like trips to Houston all the time, trying to photograph like the city and everything. And whenever I had planned out a shoot with her, it was so cool. She had like these all white pants, these like white boots. She had like this white top. And she had like these cool LED glasses that I had that would light up, and that was like the touch of futurism that I added to it, as well as a clear translucent umbrella.
Okay. I think I've seen this.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen
this was one of the images that were on my like what I had brought to the gallery at Lazy Days.
Nice.
Hazy Days.
Lazy Days.
Lazy Days. Oh my God.
Represent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I can't even just read your shirt.
Established 2004.
I actually like the font of that. That's really nice.
It's a sloppy back.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So it was downtown in Houston, and the train, we were timing it with the train running through. And it really was like kind of raining a little bit. And she had the cool, clear umbrella that reflected light really well, even though it was translucent. It was all white, essentially. And it just, like, everything that could have possibly went great for a shoot went great. Oh, it was, like, everything was, perfect. Like, the misty rain, it was overcast. There was a fog over Houston. It was downtown. No one was there to bother us, which is also a thing. Like, that's a big deal.
Especially security and trespassing.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh my God,
people just being like, hey, can you take a picture of me? Man, that's so annoying.
I've never gotten that request, but I've gotten kicked out of a lot of places.
Yes, I know.
They don't give a fuck. They
no.
They do not care. They're trying to create art.
No, they don't. They always, like...
Even if it's not good, you should still be allowed.
Yeah, it's silly. I really hate it. I think that there's been times where I was like, okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, I remember one time a couple of dudes, like, broke some glass, like, broke a window by a place that we used to shoot. We used to shoot at. And then from then on, we're like, nope, sorry, you got to make a request to, like, the building to shoot there. Oh, my God. And
someone has to ruin it.
Yeah, someone has to ruin it. It's ridiculous. But, like... So after that shoot, that kind of really kicked it off for me. I wanted to really delve and focus in on this, because I figured that, like, not only is this a style that no one really does consistently, like, so much so that they, pour themselves into it, but also this is giving me so much. I'm getting so many goosebumps from this. Like, to get the shot kind of thing is always like that's the thing you're chasing. That's like the feeling. That's the adrenaline you're chasing after, is to get the shot of the day kind of thing, the banger. And it was, I was thinking, like, how can I make this more, more future? How can I make this more cyberpunk? Because, like, right now, all it looks like is, like, I'm shooting images in a city, and that she looks futuristic, but the city itself doesn't feel futuristic, or, like, the environment may look kind of futuristic, but it isn't, I mean, it's still 2018. It still looks like Houston 2018, 2019. Yeah. And so that's where I just delved into, I think it was around that time that it's like, all right, I can either do this, like, one or two ways. I have to get obsessed with Photoshop and learn how to manipulate things and to make it feel more and more futuristic in the imagery that way. And I also need to decide if I want to learn 3D rendering, or I want to learn how to build props for my shoots.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think the physical is a lot better.
Yeah, especially in imagery. Like,
and it's real.
Yeah,
like
it's real. It's
like,
yeah,
because like sometimes like when you do animations or like you can do whatever, it can look fake.
Yes,
and people tell.
And I would be struggling for years. Like I would have spent years trying to learn 3D rendering, which I still want to. I still want to desperately because I know how I can see now how it can really improve my imagery without making it too obvious, I should say, or how I can blend it in well enough. But like, I really just wanted to build shit. Like since my dad built guitars and everything, I decided like, you know what? I'm going to take a note from that journal and actually decide to build things for this. And so it started out with one mask. I was obsessed with Hiroto Ikuchi. He is an artist from Japan who builds these incredible masks and just like wearable pieces that work. Like he has these modded headphones, and you can still use them. You can still use the VR goggles that he uses. It's a respirator. It still functions as a respirator. It's like these things still function as they are intended, I should say. And he makes these incredible masks, also using Gundam as well every once in a while. And after watching him and just like getting just blown away with everything he made, I was just like, oh my God, I want that, but I can't afford that. And I want to do it myself. I really want to do it myself. So that's where it started with like, you know what, I'll get a Gundam. I'll get a Gundam model and break it apart and build it up and see what he did. And at some point, I just had to decide, like, all right, your stuff is not going to be like Hiroto Ikuchi.
Yes.
It's definitely not going to be that. Stop trying to, like, look at his images and, like, all right, so it was this angle. Like, match it pixel perfect, everything. Just start building. Just put it together. Just begin, you know? And so that was the first mask and I think VR headset that I put together. I had 2 computers and I scrapped them for parts and just like took apart the innards of it and then just glued them and screwed them to a VR headset. And that was like my first little physical piece to use in a shoot. And then Hannah and I would just go out and shoot the idea in Houston, either in a studio or out in the wild and everything. And so ever since, it's just been a process of just trying to be better at that process of building and then putting the concept together and trying to make the concept feel more movie-like, I think.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like either movie-like and cinematic, or I just want the image to, you know, tell a story, to make that person wonder and be like, what is going on here? And that's just like I think that's about every photographer's, like, in general, their goal is to, of course, tell a story, because interesting photos tell a story, and they require you to make questions and everything. But yeah, it's been a blast ever since. I gotta say, like, I've been having so much fun lately because of it. It's so much fun right now.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I love that. You've gone through the journey, I think. So I mean,
still going through.
You're still going. Everybody is.
I'm dying.
But I think it's important to imitate first, but then you have to recognize that you have to branch off now. You have to do your own thing. You can't be like them. You never will be like them.
Stop trying. Yeah. I think I learned that, I experienced that with trying to take photos like Brandon Wolfel, or it felt like around every that time, especially as a beginner, it's like you're just absorbing these different photographer styles because it's like, well, I want to be more like them because I don't know how to be myself.
Yeah.
And if I can be more like them, then that's good enough for now. And then, at that point, you're like, you know what? I don't want to be that anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to be
me.
Yeah, I want to be this. This is way more me. And it's so cool. And that it really is the story of just like, how do you find your style? That I always hear lots of beginning photographers always talk about, or they get to that intermediate level where it's like, I know how to take a photo now, but I don't know how to define my entire style or anything, because it's always built on other images that I see of other people that I love. How do I culminate that into something that feels like something I consistently love to do? Not just, like in art class, you try a different style once and then you go to another style right after, where it's like, I'm delving into this now. And I think that's where it gets really fun and very new. Like, you're discovering a lot of nuances. Now you're not just covering the general idea of like, let me just try to take a picture of like what a cyberpunk world is like. It's like now it's gotten to like, how do I craft it to be a world of its own? Exactly. And how do it's as if I'm a cameraman.
I love what you said.
As if I'm just a cameraman that is in that world.
Yeah.
And what would that look like? And so that's a cool thing.
So you have made the transition from taking pictures to creating pictures.
I think it's a little bit of both, actually. I feel like there's a little bit, like, so for instance, whenever I'm taking the photo, I still think that I'm capturing a moment in time, in the sense of, and how photography, usually that's a photographic idea. You're capturing this moment in time. And then the crafting side of it, where I'm crafting the image is whenever I'm actually in Photoshop and I'm putting the effects to everything and making the world seem, not worldly or like as we know it right now. Like, I'm putting the holographic signs on the buildings. I'm putting like tech with that you can interact with in the air or something like that, and holograms and stuff. And I think like one part is making sure that I capture a great image just by itself, even without the cool Photoshop work. And then going into Photoshop, and then being through Photoshop and just manipulation, being able to tell, or I should say, explain the story better, maybe. Okay. It's kind of like an enhancement buff to telling the story just by the photo itself. So, for instance, here's a good one. Imagine my subject is by a neon sign. Her hand is like this. Her palm is like that. And there's nothing there in the moment. And it's like I'm capturing the photo of her just hanging by the tattoo shop, and still has this, story of its own. But when I go into Photoshop, now I'm projecting like a hologram onto her palm that she's like, okay, well, you know what, that she could probably talk to this person. She's probably talking to a person right now through the hologram. And that tells a different story now. It's like, oh, wow, wait, what's going on? What's this character doing? What is she trying to do? And so that's why I think that it's just like another step in the process between capturing the moment and also crafting that moment.
Yeah.
And I think they blend in like seamlessly. In the same way that we were talking about, whether a moment was captured in that moment or it was crafted to make you feel a certain way. There's a really good photo I saw where it is this black and white photo of this man walking through the rubble of England, I believe. I think this is during like the bombings of World War II. Okay. And he's walking with like a milk carton or like a milk, a little metal bag.
Yeah, like a basket of like.
Yeah, a basket.
Like
thank you. Metal basket of milk bottles and stuff. And he's walking through that rubble. And like first looking at that, and the first thought I thought was, wow, what an awesome image to catch. Mm-hmm. And then a subtitle card comes up and says like, this was actually a very posed image. This was this image is staged. Oh, okay. And I was like, that doesn't take away from the mystery and the value and the weight that it has. Yeah. You look at that and you think, wow, this is, despite it being staged, it's very indicative of the time and the situation that's going on in that part of the world at that moment. Even if this isn't like right in the moment of, like the bombs falling or anything, to see that being real, it still is real as what is actually going on, I should say. It's and so I'm trying to make my photography kind of feel like that, in the sense that when someone looks at it, I want them to be like, this is a whole other world, or like, I can't tell what's real and what's not real in this image.
I like that.
And that's usually where I'm just like, oh, hell yeah, I've blended the two seamlessly. This looks like it's a whole other world by its own.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it's like, it's cool on one hand because it feels like I've fooled someone in a sense that of like, yes, I've been able to convince someone that this is a completely different world, or that this exists now, right this second. And at the same time, it's really cool to see that it's just like, wow, it's convincing enough. Yeah. Because for a while I was always so scared of like, what if the props aren't convincing enough? What if it just looks as if like, oh, that's a cool, futuristic dressed person next to a city that's now like there's like a disconnect between those two things, because now you're like, oh, well, that's just obviously a person in downtown Houston today. Whereas now
you create that.
But now it's just like, wow, that's a cyborg in a futuristic world that I don't know where this is. Mm-hmm. I don't know where this is. And it's like, it's Houston. Houston, like now, I'll say it. And it's really cool. I love that because it's it goes way more into like, crafting the world that I want to see and story building. Mm-hmm. And it feels like I'm like scratching the surface of what other great creators had done in the past, like Blade Runner. Yeah. They created a whole world off of that movie, like a whole entire universe off of that movie, and a whole like, and I want to kind of do the same thing with my photos, but instead of focusing on, this is the main character and going through the story, I kind of like the idea of just like, I'm just like a cameraman in a moment in time capturing this character who I don't know their story, or I don't know, they're not really the main character. They're just another person in the world, essentially. And I like that a lot.
That's awesome.
I think it's cool to see, like, because it's a world and every person has their own story. And so I kind of thought, like, what if it's their own story, but the setting is futuristic, What would their story be like? And so sometimes I'll actually I'll write
like a character.
I'll actually write a story for the character. Like,
that's what I mean.
I have, So I have one image where it's my friend Bianca. She's by this red guard light, and her pose is so interesting. And I thought, like, man, what's the deal with her? Like, what's the goal here? Why is she in front of a guard, barricade bar? Like, what's the deal with that? And I started thinking, like, I'm going to write as if that is a security little building that she's gotten into, and she's going to hack it and going to find out about some tech that's in the warehouse that the security guard box is there for. Wow. So she's going to elaborate. Yeah, exactly. And it just became like I took a lot of inspiration from like playing Cyberpunk 2077 and seeing how their side quests are so big in terms of scope, and they're very deep, and they tell a story on their own. It's not just a fetch quest. It feels like your actions and what you're actually doing in a mission has a ramification on a real character in the story, kind of thing. And they may be a side character that you run into like once, but in this world, they are still a person, kind of thing, and they still have a story to tell. So it's,
I need to play that game. It sounds really fun.
It's really good right now, since it's gone through all this, backup development and everything. And I want to play through it again, honestly, because
it'd be so much fun.
It is a fun game. Yeah.
So I love that you've drawn your inspiration from like futuristic worlds and cyberpunk, and like you're just like going hard in the paint. For real. It's a load of fun. It feels like the absolute, like a summit of creativity, of like the best thing that a musician would want to do is to be able to seamlessly play with other musicians, kind of thing. And because then you can be like, I can play with anyone now. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I don't know how to play metal, I don't know how to play jazz. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll play. And it feels like that same thing for photography, and it's in the sense of like, I want to tell a story. You know what? I can. Instead of being like, oh, I don't know how to tell a story in an image. He's like, no, I know now. I know how to tell a story, and I know how to craft a world now, kind of thing, in terms of what I do. And it's a load of fun.
It feels great.
So I'm also at like 2% on this MacBook right
okay,
now.
we're running.
So we're running low. So just like a brief little summary. What's your future plans? Like first like year, 5 years, whatever kind of timeline you want to put on
the big milestone for me next. I would love to be in a gallery. Like I want to be in a real established gallery, either around like Austin or Houston or some other city. I don't know, but I just want to walk into a museum and see one of my photos and see a collection and be like, those are mine. Wow,
and
they're
have like
on
a
the
specific
wall.
dedicated
Yeah,
wall.
exactly. That's on a wall. And man, to be able to craft my like the area how I see it, and like I might even put a mask next to a photo, and so that you say, "Oh wow, it's real. It's not just a photo. It's not just Photoshop. It's a real mask that's right there." And like as if it's a sculpture in its own kind of thing.
I liked how you did it at the art fest. You put you hung everything up around it, and I did the same exact thing at the last art show I did.
I
hung
smart.
my camera in like
it's so smart having that physical part of it. It really does help with the like, oh wow, this is not just like, this adds depth, because now it's like, I'm kind of a sculpture in the sense. Or more than just photographer, I'm also I'm a prop builder. I'm not sure the word for it or have decided on it, but like there's more to photography. There's more than photography in my art. It takes up a couple different disciplines, and I want people to be aware of that, because if someone saw my image, a lot of them will be like, well, that's a really cool rendering, and I'd be like, it's a photo. It's like, what's made up? I mean, what's real, what's not? Like, well, the mask is, like, I spent a lot of time on the mask, and like, so I don't have to make it.
But it's nice that they don't know the difference.
Yeah, a lot of the times they don't. I think that it's really cool when at first they see it and they're like, I think it's a rendering. And then they look at it for a little bit longer and they're like, it's a photo. And that's the whole like realization. Yes, and it's like, oh wait, this means so much more. Like, how did he go about doing this kind of thing? And that's the seeing that light kind of light up for other photographers. Awesome. That's like really cool.
Fuck yeah, I love it. You've made the journey, and you're going on a good path right now for sure.
I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm good. I'm glad you're excited.
Things go with this, honestly.
Yeah. So, check out his work. What's your socials, real quick?
Pickle Fig Photo on Instagram, Twitter, I think that's all the ones I really use all the time. No one uses Snapchat anymore that I know. So
no, Snapchat's dead now.
Yeah, I bet. So yeah, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad. Oh shit, my bad. I'm glad you came here today and we got an interview in.
Dude, I'm happy I came. I'm so happy you invited me out. This is great.
I love it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, go check him out. Go check out all of his photos. They're really cool. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out the other episodes, go ahead and do that. If you don't want to, honestly, I don't really care. You do what you want. But yeah. See you all. Bye-bye.
See ya. Great.
Cool.
Fuck yeah, we did that. That was great.